In the US, we estimate the event space to be at least $400 billion, and globally, maybe $1.5 trillion. So it's a massive space, with hundreds of thousands of conferences taking place annually, providing employment to millions of people. I think it's potentially one of the biggest businesses out there in the world today. So I think that we are actually heading into the golden era of conferences, which will now become more and more important as we seek to really find connections, make connections that are authentic.
Welcome to another episode of 1983. We have a fantastic guest lined up, Ankush Gupta, founder of Eventable. Conferences are all the rage in a post-COVID world in which AI-driven content is making the need for authentic human interaction invaluable, and Eventable is transforming the way we experience conferences. It is turning the industry on its head with a platform that's like Yelp or Glassdoor, but specifically for conferences. Whether you're an attendee, a speaker, or a sponsor, Eventable is your go-to resource for honest reviews and invaluable insights. Get ready to dive into how Ankush and his team are making conference experiences better for everyone. But first, before we go any further, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. My name is Madhur Duggar, and this podcast, 1983, is all about getting the stories of immigrant founders in the US to your doorsteps. If you have feedback or are an immigrant founder yourself who would like to do a podcast with me, write to me at podcastwithmadhur, that's MADHUR, at gmail.com, or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Hey, Ankush, great to have you on the
Yeah.
show. I know we've been chatting for a long time.
Mhm.
We've actually been in very similar places in Jersey City as well. So welcome.
Yeah,
Tell us about what is Eventable.
that's been some coincidence, Madhur. Have having spent time in the same building. Great to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. So our startup Eventable is a platform for business conferences, and what we do is we allow folks who attend business conferences, speakers, attendees, sponsors, to come and provide honest reviews of what their experience has been on our platform. So in a sense, what we really are is like a Glassdoor or a Yelp, but built from the ground up to serve the business conference industry and the folks who want to attend such conferences.
That's really useful. I mean, it's. I don't think that there are too many products out there that do this. Just wondering if you're wondering which conference to attend and what people thought about this conference. This
Mhm.
would be a place where you would get that information. Okay, so I get what I would get out of it as a user. What is your revenue model?
So our revenue model, Madhur, is pretty interesting. We are helping conference organizers really access the users who are consuming these reviews to be able to make participation decisions, sponsorship decisions, speaking decisions, and we are able to get conference organizers in front of all of this data, right? Which is really intent-based data. So a user who comes to a platform really wants to be able to understand what the insights are, what the peer insights are from people like him, and then sort of make up his mind if he wants to attend a particular conference or not. And we are able to put all of this information, all of this data in front of the conference organizer, who can then use that data to market, their current conferences into.
Completely. What other sources of revenue do you think this could potentially be realized? You could potentially realize this platform for.
So we're doing a lot of interesting work, Madhur. We are able to, now discover conferences at a large scale. We are able to discover attendees at a large scale. And what we've created is a proprietary topic-based taxonomy that we are applying in real time over all of this conference data that we are collecting, which really gives us something very interesting, Madhur. What we are able to now understand for the first time is at a meta level is that why so many attendees, so many sponsors and speakers are attending these conferences, right? We're able to understand the professional topics that attendees really are interested in.
Mhm.
And having this kind of conference powered intent data allows us now to be able to market a variety of B2B offers to these attendees, which may include other conferences, could include webinars, content assets, and this hasn't really been explored before. Intent data really was the space of gleaning data of a publishing model. What are people reading? What articles are people consuming? What are the sites they're visiting? And I think we've really taken it into a new dimension by asking ourselves a very fundamental question: why are so many hundreds of thousands of people across the US and and the world really attending all of these conferences? And we figured out a way to normalize all of the conferences, break them down into constituent tags, which represent our proprietary taxonomy, and we are able to now infer what attendees really are interested in at a particular moment in time.
Oh, that's interesting. So can I compare, Eventable to other products out there? I think you mentioned Yelp as one of the other products out there, which is basically a feedback-based platform. What's different? What's the same?
Yeah, so in a matter of speaking, conceptually, we are similar to Yelp, but we've been built ground up for business conference reviews, right? We've uh, we've built the platform to be a review platform for business conferences. The many problems that we've solved along the way are extremely pertinent to the event space. Unlike a restaurant, unlike a cafe, or unlike a SaaS product, which really is static. Events have very unique problems and in terms of identity, different event editions, for example. And we've been able to solve for all of this, and manage to create a system which at the end of the day provides a coherent record of how a conference is doing over a period of time.
Right. So it's very much focused around this particular concept around the conferences. Let me play devil's advocate, right?
Hmm.
Um, some of the issues that come up in feedback-based platforms is just the authenticity of the
Yeah.
reviews, right? What is to prevent people from posting fake reviews on a platform like Eventful?
So that's a very interesting question. It has a couple of dimensions, interesting dimensions to it, Madhur. I think, firstly, we live in a review economy. Reviews are all around us. We are followed by these little five stars in everything that we do. Whether you hail an Uber cab or you order from a food delivery app, you're being constantly asked to either consume reviews or provide reviews for things that you do. Whether people use Amazon to buy stuff, or they look up a hotel on TripAdvisor or an employer brand on Glassdoor. They're continuously processing and reading reviews. And I believe to that extent, the human mind now has even started processing and looking for fake reviews. So imagine yourself looking on Amazon for a product that you want to buy, say a mobile phone, and you see 5,000 glowing positive reviews. Now your brain will tell you that it can't be true. No product can be so flawless that it has this number of insanely positive five-star reviews,
Yeah.
right? Um, so at our end, we also know that no event, no conference is going to have only positive reviews, and we are continuously quality checking all the reviews that come in. At a manual level, we have quality analysts reading each and every review and matching it against a list of parameters to ensure that they're all genuine
Right.
at the time when we publish them. And
Okay.
even then, if a conference organizer detects a problem or notices something that we fail to notice, we've given them the mechanism to sort of flag every review back to us, saying that hey, the language wasn't appropriate, or the content seems plagiarized. At which time we open an investigation, we open a ticket, and then we take the appropriate action.
Mm-hmm. So just let's take a step back. I understand what Eventable does. I understand that there are, you're very serious about the checks and balances you have in place to make sure that the
Yep.
quality of the product is maintained, the integrity of the product is maintained. What are we talking about in terms of its opportunity? Like, how large do you think is the events marketplace in the US and globally?
In the US, we estimate the event space to be at least $400 billion, and globally, maybe $1.5 trillion. So it's a massive space, with hundreds of thousands of conferences taking place annually, providing employment to millions of people. I think it's potentially one of the biggest businesses out there in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so central to people's lives. It is impacting really each and every one of us as professionals, who seek out conferences, who attend conferences to meet a wide variety of objectives, ranging from personal growth, networking, to learning about the new topics in our industries.
Yeah. Because a lot of this information today, if I wanted to figure out whether I wanted to attend an IT conference or a VC funding conference, I
Mhm.
probably would speak to some of my friends on, hey, how was that conference, and I would get some very sort of high level feedback on it. But then it's much more useful to get a more detailed feedback and from
Oh,
figure out.
exactly. So, I mean, that's Madhur, that's one of the problems that we've addressed. That's one of the problems that we were very conscious about.
Yeah.
That the whole discovery process itself, we felt was a little broken. I mean, if I ask you today, hey, Madhur, what are the events in finance that you want to go to? You'll probably have a list of maybe two or three, given the ones that you've heard of. But
Mhm.
you really wouldn't know about the hidden gems. You really wouldn't have a
Yeah.
longer list than that.
Yeah.
And that's been the same with everybody that I've spoken with.
Mhm.
They've basically been discovering events based on the information that's been dropping into the LinkedIn feeds, or maybe sometimes the advertising they've been exposed to. And someone says, oh, Michelle Obama's a speaker here, maybe that catches my interest.
Right.
But nobody's had a structured way of discovering events. And we've gone a step further. So given that we have an algorithm that actually rates conferences based on the reviews that come in. We are also now able to suggest to people that given your objectives of networking or learning and development, these are the top conferences that you should go to.
Mhm.
Not in general, but
Yeah.
these were highly rated for networking in your industry.
Yeah, no,
So
that's such
that
a. I really appreciate that comment because the conferences that I find myself going to now, where I get my real value out of them, are end up being very niche kind of conferences. They're not the big conferences, but they're getting exactly the kind of audience I want to be able to network with. And I
yeah.
think that that discovery process can certainly be made better. What are you targeting for revenue looking forward?
We are targeting close to $2 million, in the upcoming 12 months.
Hmm.
And most of this should come from a combination of providing tailored marketing services to conference organizers. As we continue to explore newer and newer revenue streams, and we are seeing a world of technology around us, I won't mention some of these things right now, but,
Hmm.
there's a bunch of stuff that's changing very rapidly.
Hmm.
And we expect that very quickly we will be able to tap into newer revenue streams
Hmm.
uh, in as early as the next 2 to 3 quarters.
Hmm. That's exciting. Yeah, certainly a lot of um, development generally
Yeah.
in this space. Yeah, I agree. Um,
And
where would you?
I'll provide a comment here.
Yeah.
It might be slightly off. This particular question, but a couple of weeks back, Sam Altman, who is the CEO at OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, was really asked a question about where we are headed in terms of the prevalence of all of this AI around us.
Mhm.
And the way that he summarized it was that because it looks like it's going to be an AI everything, everywhere, all together, all at once kind of world, uh, you know, uh, the venues where people start to congregate, the venues where people meet each other and form these connections will now start to acquire more and more value,
More
will start to become
important.
more important. So I take it to understand that he's essentially talking about conferences, even though he
Yeah.
didn't vocalize it
Right.
as much. So I think that we are actually heading into the golden era of conferences, which will now become more and more important as we seek to really find connections, make connections that are authentic.
Great. That's a lovely point. I completely agree, and I think it's going to permeate a lot of things that we experience in our life. The need for genuine, personal, authentic
Mhm.
content and
Yeah.
contact. And yeah, conferences are exactly delivering on that aspect. Like 5 years from now, from a revenue perspective, like what do you think you're going to be looking at?
I would certainly hope that we are past the 20 million threshold.
Hmm.
Given the nature and the scope of the problems that we're really trying to attack, that we're trying to solve for. So we started off life as a review platform, as a review aggregator.
Hmm.
But in essence, what we're trying to do is, now to collect data, conference data, attendee data at a meta level to make
Hmm.
sense of really, why so many people are going to all of these conferences. And we're hoping that this exercise will put us on the journey towards solving other big problems. Like how do I create an event efficiently? How do I acquire audiences and sponsors efficiently with the least amount of friction for my event, right?
Hmm.
If I want to invest in events as a potential sponsor and create a third party event portfolio, how do I do that with the least amount of friction? Today it's a very manual, very labor intensive process.
Mhm.
How do I get the rich feedback, including the reviews from all of these events, and make a decision where I should be putting my sponsorship dollars into, right? So I feel eventually, we will create a model that will allow people to protect their investments that they're making in other events.
Yeah.
uh, you know, um, and of course the marketing scenario in all of the data that we're collecting that allows us to infer what are the topics of interest to people at a given moment in time. We can take a whole bunch of B2B offers into the segment.
Yeah. That's exciting. What are you looking for? When you're looking for investors at this stage, what are you looking for from them away from financing?
See, away from financing, I would like an investor who brings in a strategic outlook, who has the connections into the event space,
Yeah.
who's perhaps, able to help us with some level of strategic deal making. I think would be very, very useful to us.
Mhm.
Because the financing is just one aspect. But if somebody really has the experience in scaling tech platforms, in taking a disruptive technology to the market, and I think we would certainly benefit from that.
Mhm. Um, Ankush, the person, right? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a marketer, for over 20 years now, Madhur. I've
Mhm.
spent about 10 years with the Tata Group, and the Tata Group, as you know, is a big business conglomerate in India. And I was heading up marketing for one of the companies. And really, at the time, a few years back, the idea that I had was, given the prevalence of review platforms like G2.com and TrustRadius.com, nothing similar existed for the business conference industry,
Mhm.
and which seemed exciting to me, which seemed also not normal to me, that participants and stakeholders in this ecosystem, folks who wanted to attend conferences, folks who wanted to sponsor conferences, were not able to make these decisions with the benefit of peer insights and reviews,
Mhm.
right? Just as we are able to do in so many other spheres of our life, I
Mhm.
felt that conference participants should also have the benefit of looking at peer reviews when they sort of want to make that decision.
Yeah.
And that's really what got us started on our journey towards creating and then attempting to sort of scale this platform.
Okay. In terms of your personal time and effort on a day-to-day basis, where do you think most of that is being spent today?
As a founder, you have to be hands on with pretty much everything that goes on in the startup.
Hmm.
And that is the life. I love solving problems. That is a key mindset that we try and hire against as well.
Hmm.
Because while the market landscape around us might keep on changing now and then, technologies may come and go,
Hmm.
but I think what the important mindset is to be able to really solve for a particular problem at hand, and
Yeah.
that is really what keeps us going. We try and make a little bit of improvement every day,
Yeah.
whatever it is that we are doing, and with the hope that it will compound over a longer period of time.
Hmm. An incremental improvement mindset, right? What do you think are the
Yeah.
greatest challenges for you going forward?
We've at this time we've solved for like hundreds of small and large challenges. While building this platform, there's been so much sweat, blood that's gone into it every time a problem has come our way. And I think really what has really kept us going is the mindset that, let's try this or let's try that, let's give it another shot. Let's come back tomorrow and try something new.
Hmm.
And sooner or later, I think that's always worked out well for us in the end.
Yeah.
So we don't just come with a mindset to win for something. Really, we want to show up day after day, day after day. We want
Hmm.
to show up,
Hmm.
and we believe that sticking with this problem for a long period of time will allow us the ability to stay on in the market.
Yeah. So I think what you're saying is, listen, this is an evolving field. There are going to
Yeah,
be lots of challenges because the field is going to keep changing, and it's really important to successfully here to have a mindset which is like ready to
yeah.
accept that change and continue to solve for the solution.
Yeah,
Going
I think
forward,
it's
right?
it's beyond the winning mindset. I think
Yeah.
what we are really looking at is an outlasting mindset. We
Hmm.
we you know we're here for the long term. We want to be here, until we've made this a success and
Hmm.
beyond. We've taken on all these large problems for ourselves to solve,
Hmm.
and we are confident that we'll get there.
Yeah. What is a quote or role model that inspires you?
Uh, you know, I don't think I have a particular any particular role model to really look up to emulate. So many people doing so many cool things. We just try to give it our best. So I'll leave it at that. But in terms of quote, I like reading Richard Feynman, the physicist Richard Feynman. And one of the quotes from Richard Feynman essentially is something like, the worthwhile problems are the ones that you can really solve or help solve, the ones that you can really contribute something to. So no problem is too small or too trivial if we can really do something about it. All right. So it's a very simple quote, and it's something that I believe in. Like, I believe that we are here because we can make a difference. We can make a difference to the way that conferences are discovered, to the way in which people attend conferences, with the maximum amount of efficiency, by and with the least amount of effort. They save their dollars, they save their time.
Hmm.
That's time that can be reinvested in doing something else, spending with their families, etc.
Yeah.
And we are here because we think we can solve all of these problems, and that's just about it. It's
Yeah.
just something that we are attempting to do, going about with our lives. And it's
Yeah.
as simple as that. Yeah.
It's a great outlook. It's saying, listen, a worthwhile problem is a problem that you can solve. So go ahead and
Yeah.
solve that problem. And I think
Yeah.
that you're a great person to solve this particular problem. So
Yeah.
I think that's really well. Listen, Ankush, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Your sharing a little bit about your company and about your about Ankush the person with us. Appreciate it, and I hope that we can stay in touch and continue to see
Absolutely.
the company prosper going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Excellent.
Mother. Yeah.
Thank